For us warriors, there are a lot of very cool and promising cards in heavy hitters. We've got a 0+2/2 non-weapon specific react, a pumped weapon go again react, and a very fascinating pay it forward chest piece. But of them all, it's a common card, Lead with Speed, that I think will have the most impact on our warrior builds in the coming months. A huge shout out to our channel members for supporting what we do here. If you want to get involved with the channel and the Dice Commando community, please consider joining as a channel member. Remember, these videos are only possible with your support. You can show that support with a like, a subscribe, and by leaving us a comment and sharing your feedback. Community first, and go Commando. Hey there, my flesh and blood friends. Welcome back to Dice Commando, and go again, a fabulous cast, and happy Fab Friday. That's right, I am back from Queenstown, all hyped up, all sorts of hyped up about heavy hitters. I had a ton of fun last weekend playing with the new set. It's really, really, really good, and I'm very excited about the pre-releases coming this weekend. Some of you may already be ripping into your 6-packs and maybe picking up your precons and all that good stuff. So as a warrior person, that is one of the places where my head went first. I'm actually getting kind of attracted to Brute. I gotta admit, I'm going to the green side. But no, I am very focused on some of the cool warrior stuff that we got in this set. It'll be very interesting to see how good Kasai is, because there's a lot of really cool tricks that I don't want to say greatly underestimated the agility token. I don't think that was the case, but I wasn't sure how it would work with, you put the agility token in, it pops on your next turn. I wasn't really sure how that would work. It's good, kids. It's good, right? It's very good to be able to come in with a free go. Very, very, very good, and I'm super excited about it. So to that end, I wanted to talk today about Lead with Speed. That's right. Not only do I lead, but I lead with speed, baby. This whole Lead with series, right? Lead with Power, Lead with Vigor. I think it's Heart. Sorry, Lead with Heart and Lead with Speed. They're all very good. Lead with Heart, like basically backfills itself on the next turn. Might's always a +1. That's always good. But this is the best of the cycle without a doubt. So your next Brute or Warrior attack, it's +3. Create an agility token, which means next time you get go again. An onboard go again. So let's talk about the uses of this card. I mean, as if it isn't obvious on the base use, but I want to talk about why I think this is really going to change basically everyone except maybe Boltyn, I think, and a lot of the builds, and, Dorinthia is going to eat the snot out of this card, right? I don't know why there's snot on this card, but she's going to eat this card up, okay? So let's first talk about the low-hanging fruit, right, which is like a dual swing build. Okay, so Centauri Sabers or maybe even Axes, right? Again, that new 0+2/2 we got is basically slice and dice, for lack of a better term. I mean, it's obviously different because it's a react, but it's non-weapon specific, which is very good. So I'm pretty excited about that. But in terms of a dual swing build, whether it's Axes, whether I should say hatchets, right? Whether it's hatchets or whether it be Centauri Sabers or some other combination thereof, you obviously have the fact that, right, she was never there in CC, but in Blitz, OG Kasai is gone, so you don't have that discount, but now you can potentially come in with a blue and do swing, pump, swing, right? And there you have it, right? That's what you needed to get that on. And by pump swing, I mean, not necessarily a Blade Runner or something like that, because that would work fine for the second swing pump, but you could potentially do another react or something like that, right? So it really opens up a lot of doors to not have to worry specifically about, your Blade Runner go again or something like that. That said, because of cards like Blade Runner and Run Through and, some of like Spoils of War and some of the others, I don't think this gets you as much advantage in the dual swing build as it potentially does in your single swing try and hit and go again build, right? So what I want to do for the rest of this is kind of talk about some of those alternative builds and how this is going to be so very strong. Not like Dorinthia Dawnblade is an alternative build, but why it's going to be very strong for something like that, as opposed to the low-hanging fruit, which is, the dual swing build, which again, very, very, very good in a dual swing build. With this into Centauri Saber, maybe something else. Right, you get it. You can do the play lines pretty easy. Maybe you do one swing and then you do dual swing, whatever, right? Off, on turn, so on. Okay, but now I want to talk, I've got first on my list, the just regular old Dorinthia Dawnblade. All right, so this is a 1/3 front pump at a basic level that then gives you go again threatened on your next turn. Well, that's pretty darn good, right? That means Dorinthia doesn't need to come up with some way to get go again. She can focus purely on hitting and threatening the hit. And again, if you have that agility token, well, I mean, you wouldn't have the agility token out. It would have popped on that turn, right? But let's say you're swinging Dawnblade with the agility token there, so it has go again. They have to stop you from hitting, which means what do they have to do? They have to block. And what's one of the age-old things? Not having reprise turn on? Well, they either block it or you get to come twice, and then they've got to worry about it on the backside in either way, right? I mean, that's just very, very, very simply good. Also, I do want to point out, by the way, this card is a common, which I did it like a couple weeks ago, maybe 2-3 weeks ago. I did my like Dorinthia 1 for 3. It's pumping and thrusting with Dorinthia commoner build. This card's going straight in there. Oh, baby. Oh, man, what a front pump with that, right? Threatening that on board. Amazing, right? And again, that commoner deck is a very fundamental Dorinthia type build where you're trying to, put pressure on, come in for 6, maybe react. But where's it go again coming from? Right here. Right here. This card is absolutely phenomenal for that build, basically in every way that I can come up with. I mean, in worst case scenario, they block out or something and you don't hit. And sure, it's gone, but you came in for 1, or you've turned before you came in for at least 6, probably 9, threatening something. Either way, right? I was not sure how the delayed reaction's a bad term there. I was not sure how the delayed payoff of the token pooping out and then popping the next turn would work. But with Dawnblade and just the pure threat of it, I think it's going to work. I've got to get it on the table. I've got to get reps with it. Completely grant you. But I think it's very, very potentially good. Right, next I want to talk Decimator Great Axe with this thing. Okay. This is probably the dirtiest part of it. Now, unfortunately, you have to do this into that. So it's a 4, right? Costs you 4. Maybe you can like do some bigger tricks. Maybe you could. But having an agility token in play when you come in with your Great Axe is just dirty, right? Because even if you're playing like a pure fatigue type build and you're just coming in for, granted, you would have to have 2 cards in your hand to threaten this, right? But you come in and you just throw naked axe, right? In general, people are disincentivized to block the axe because it reduces their stuff, right? So you come in, now you've got this go again on board. If they let it hit, Dorinthia can just do it again. Now, it doesn't get the minus the next time. Remember how that works. But they have to block it. So now they're throwing 2 cards at it. Devalue, they're throwing 2 cards at a 4. Just to not get the devalued. Or some sort of armor or something like that. Right? But lead with speed into a Decimator Great Axe for 7. And then coming in the next turn with maybe pumped, maybe it's not. I don't know. Right? Maybe you're just coming for 4 with an agility token on board. They have to be concerned about that. They have to block it. And it's very inefficient blocking, and it's a good way to start chewing cards. This card's phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal in Decimator Great Axe, I believe. Right? I mean, you have Cleave. There's a lot, you play Tunic in that a lot of times, so you have, every 3 turns, you've got the 1 on board. It's not undoable. You've got, Cleave, and I guess that's the usual +1, but sometimes you Warrior's Valor it, right? If you're trying to be cheeky, right? Warrior's Valor, Decimator Great Axe, and they keep a blue in. They've got to block 7 with one of them getting devalued. I mean, it's functionally the same thing, except now you have it on the backside, and you potentially only need to have 2 cards in hand. You just have to pay for this one on the front, right? So I think it's very good, right? So I'm pretty excited about that. I did want to talk a bit about Boltyn. I think everything we just talked about in terms of like the dual swing and all the logic there, I think that all tracks just fine for Olympia as well, right? I mean, I think it all ports over. I think there's a lot of learnings there with actually Decimator Great Axe with Olympia is actually not horrible because he also has like some of the 3/7 wagers or the front pump wagers. That's actually not bad, right? I'm just thinking about that right now. This was not in my notes, but that's actually not a horrible idea. With this particularly and having to go again, I mean, you really, with the play I'm particularly talking about, with this, you definitely want it to be Dorinthia to threaten the second swing, right? But I'm just doing the math on Olympia with wagering on that because he's got the front pump wagers. A little off topic, but that's not a horrible idea. right, last up, let's talk Boltyn. Does this work with Boltyn? Sure. I think it does. I think it's a little harder for him to work out, right, with what he's trying to do with the charging and stuff. I mean, the advantage is that you don't necessarily have, you could charge, you don't necessarily have to chuck a card from his soul to get go again or something like that if you have agility out. So it's perfectly reasonable. I don't know that this necessarily fits in his deck build though, but I'd be very curious to hear from some of the Boltyn mains out there what you think. I mean, this card is just so unbelievably good that it's hard to believe it wouldn't be useful in basically everything. But Boltyn seems a little trickier to get that to work, because I've even had hard time getting like I think it's Resounding Courage, right? The new with the one from Dusk Till Dawn with the Lightning Bolt, the React. I'll put it up. I've had trouble getting that to work sometimes, so maybe this is different because it's a front pump instead of a React. Oh, something to think about though, right? But I'm extremely impressed with these agility tokens. They're pretty darn good, And actually, I wonder if what is it? Which banneret is it? The one that poops out the, I forget which one it is, but it's the one that poops out the Quicken. Actually, I wonder if wouldn't it be better if it pooped out a agility token instead of a Quicken, because sometimes you end up using that on your own turn when you were going to get it anyway, or you do it into your sword and you lose it. And I wonder if an agility token wouldn't have actually been better with that. I think it probably would have been. So anyway, that's it for me today. This is just a love letter to this card. I'm very pumped about where I don't have all the builds yet. I don't have everything done yet. Just starting to play around with it, but this card really opens up a lot of doors. It's definitely going into my Decimator Great Axe build. There's no question about it. Absolutely going to use that. You can even do it with 2 blues and keep a route online or something like that. All sorts of possibilities that you crazy kids can work with. This card absolutely opens serious doors for our warriors. So anyway, let me know what you all are thinking. Have a great weekend. Have a great pre-release weekend. Pick up some of those precons and jam them into each other. We're going to do that actually this weekend. If you are, by the way, if you are coming out to the Gungai pre-release, it's actually midday, right? Usually we do our armories at night, but pre-release we do it midday. There's an excellent chance I'm going to try and grab a bunch of folks, each have them get a precon, and we'll go up the street to the tap house and play. Sounds pretty fun to me. I'm going to do it. Hopefully you'll join me if you're out there. Anyway, think about it. So anyway, folks, again, have a great pre-release weekend. Thanks for joining me today, and go Commando.